Hey Hawks, we are in the art room today. I really do miss having you all here. I miss this room being full of you guys making and creating together. I know we've been going on a lot of virtual field trips, which has been so fun. I hope that you've enjoyed those. But today I actually want to do a lesson in the art room that you can follow along with at home. And all you need are recycled materials. Materials that you collect over time. So if you don't have any recycled materials, and today we're going to specifically be talking about paper towel rolls, toilet paper rolls. If you don't have any of those yet, that's okay. You can start collecting them now, and then maybe in a few weeks you'll have enough to be able to do this assignment with if you would like to. The reason I'm talking about recycled materials today is because this week you are going to join Mr. Hunley, Coach Hunley, on an adventure where he's going to be using recycled materials to make things like fishing line and fishing poles and some really fun things for you to use outside. Well, as an art teacher, I am always collecting recycled materials because they're easy to get, they're inexpensive, and they can be used by a lot of people, a really large group of kids. I've actually been saving toilet paper rolls and paper towel rolls for a very long time. For about 2 years, I've been saving them up in the hopes that we can use it together in the classroom. We are going to be using toilet paper rolls and paper towel rolls to create three-dimensional, that means not flat, three-dimensional sculptures. I kind of think they sort of look like skyscrapers, buildings, cityscapes, but you can use your imagination to decide what you want them to be. The first step is going to be to decorate the toilet paper rolls and paper towel rolls. Now, you can use almost any medium to decorate with. That means any material. I've got markers. Those are a super easy thing to grab. And when you decorate your rolls with them, you can immediately use them. You don't have to wait for them to dry. So you can use markers if you would like to. Today I've used paint. Now I made these earlier because if you're going to use paint, you're going to have to allow the rolls time to dry before you're ready to build with them. So I've got a paint palette just with a few colors. And I've got some different kinds of brushes. I've got a regular bristle brush. This is what we use the most in art class. I've got some sponge brushes, a regular sponge brush, and I've got a small circular sponge brush which we are going to use to maybe make polka dot designs to really add some texture to the rolls. I've got sponge brushes that have indentations on them to give them texture and pattern designs on your rolls. But really you can use just a regular paintbrush or whatever other material you would like. Paint or your markers, whichever you choose. You could use crayons, colored pencils, really any material will work to decorate your rolls. I'm going to demonstrate how you might go about painting one of these rolls right now. Another recycled material that I use a lot in the art room is newspaper. I collect old newspapers because they make excellent tools to use for paper mache projects, and they also make excellent placemats so that all of your mess can stay on one surface. When you're finished, you can just fold it up, crumple it up, throw it away to kind of help keep your area mess free, and goes along with the recycled art lesson. A couple of things to remember if you are painting the rolls. You always want water, some clean water. Now by the time you get finished, it won't be clean anymore. But you're going to want a cup of water to rinse your brush every time you switch colors. If you're trying to mix colors, that's okay. But a lot of the time, if you mix all the colors together, it'll just end up kind of a muddy brown. So you're going to want to rinse your brush off and dry it off on either the newspaper or a paper towel every time you're ready to switch colors. All right, I'm going to set my painted rolls aside to dry. Like I said, I did already prepare some a couple hours ago so that they would be dry in time for me to show you this lesson. So you might want to let them dry for a couple of hours or maybe even overnight. If you are using markers to decorate or colored pencils or crayons, you don't have to worry about the mess or the drying time. Something else I did to prepare for this project, Hawks, is I took some of the paper towel and toilet paper rolls and I kind of flattened them. I didn't fold them all the way. I want to leave a little bit of an indentation so that they can kind of fluff back up, pop back up, but I cut them into smaller pieces. This will just help me have a variety of sizes to work with. You might remember us doing this in class before. We used these little rings that were cut from paper towel rolls and toilet paper rolls for a printmaking project. We dipped them in some paint. We kept one edge clean so that we could hold on to it. We covered the other edge in paint. And then we used them to make stamps. We even made shapes out of them before we did that. So maybe we made some hearts, kind of just shaped it, held on with our fingers to the side that's staying clean. We dipped them in our paint and we used them to stamp. And that's a pretty cool printmaking lesson that you can easily do at home with the exact same recycled materials. After you have decorated your rolls, if you painted them, you let them dry. Cut your pieces if you want some different sizes to work with. After you've done all that, you are ready for the building part of this, the sculpting part of this. You're actually going to need a pair of scissors. Again, anytime you use scissors or any sharp object, you should have your parents' permission. And here's what you want to do. You want to pick two sides of the edge of the roll. It doesn't matter which two sides, as long as they are directly across from one another. And you are going to cut a slit. Just make a little cut. It's not very big. You don't want it gaping open. It doesn't go all the way down the roll, maybe just an inch or two. And then directly across from that, you're going to do the same thing to the other side. So now I have two slits, one on either side. I hope that you can see all of the details. All right, then you're going to do the exact same thing to the other edge. You're going to try to line it up to where you made the first cut. Going to go directly to the other side. So now I have two slits on both of the edges of the roll. And you're just going to continue doing that to all of the rolls that you want to use. Even the small pieces, you'll do the exact same thing to them. So now the slit won't be able to be quite as long on the small pieces. You don't want to cut through the roll. You don't want to cut through the piece. So you've got your little slit there. Just one little straight cut. Now this one's maybe ½ an inch long. Okay, and then you'll very gently do it to the other side. You don't want those two slits to connect because you don't want that piece of the roll to break in half. And it's really important to note, Hawks, that you do not have to decorate your rolls like I decorated mine. That I just did shapes and lines and patterns and designs. This will be considered abstract or non-representational. If you want to try to make these look like buildings, like actual skyscrapers you might see in a big city, go for it. You can draw windows with people looking out and doors. Really play with it, experiment. And I just want this final product to be yours. So now we're ready to build. Now, in the places that you cut slits, that's where you're going to attach the roll or the piece of the roll to another roll. So I'm going to take one spot that I've got a slit cut in, and I'm going to take another spot that I have a slit cut in on a different roll, and I am going to piece them together so that they it's kind of like a puzzle piece. It's kind of like you're putting two puzzle pieces together to give it some stability. And you're just going to keep doing this because you can stack them on top of one another. You can connect them to the sides. It's kind of a balancing act. So again, there's one slit. Here's another. I'm going to connect those two together. Kind of slide them in together, wedge them together. I'm going to connect these two tall pieces because they're a little wobbly, as you may have noticed. Again, all about balance. Going to connect them with a shorter piece. Kind of makes them more stable. And you could keep going like this. You could keep building and building and building. You could keep it really simple. You can have all of the structures connected, or you can have them separate. Sort of like you've made your own Legos. They don't stick together the same way that Legos do, but you've got pieces that connect to one another. So there's my structure. That's technically a 3D sculpture made out of recycled materials. You could decide to tear it all apart and start over again. You can cut slits in other parts of the roll so that you can connect them in more places. You still don't want your slits to go all the way through because you don't want your roll to break. But see, now I've got more options for where I can connect those pieces. I hope you've enjoyed this lesson today. Be sure to tune in to Coach Hunley's lesson on making fishing line and fishing poles out of recycled materials as well. I will see you for our next adventure, Hawks. Bye.